Hello everyone, welcome to this section. In this section, we're going to talk about if statements in Python. So let me illustrate it with an example. We would like to write a program that checks if a number is positive and prints positive number if it is correct, it is positive, okay? So there are certain situations that we would like to check certain condition in Python. To do that, we need to use if conditions. For example, we would like to say if this happened, do this. If something else happened, do something else. Okay, so this is a logical conditional statement in Python. For example, here we would like to write a program that checks if a number is positive or not and prints positive number if the number is positive. To do that, I'm initializing a variable called number and I assign number 10 using the if keyword followed by the condition itself followed by a colon. We are having the if statement in Python. For example, here I'm saying that if that number that we declare to be 10 is larger than 5, then print out the number is greater than 5. Okay, please note that we are having a bit of a space here that is following this if condition. So you start the if condition here, and when you're talking about the statement, the block of code that you want to execute, if this condition is correct, you need to leave some space, and it is automatic. So when you type down an if condition and you enter, usually compilers leave you some spaces automatically. Okay, so when I entered, you see things are going to be started from this part, okay, itself. So it is automatic. So let me run the code. So now the compiler is providing the output for this statement in Python. So you see that in the output, the number is greater than 5. You see that? But if I put here a 15, so I say I am initializing a variable called number that is assigned to 10, and I'm checking to see if this number is larger than 15, do this for me, okay? So when I run, I see nothing in the output as you see it here, okay? So when you see nothing in the output, it means that this part is not passed. This condition is not passed. Why? Because 10 is not larger than 15. So in order to have one if statement in Python, we are having the if keyword followed by the condition. So in this case, we are saying number is larger than 15. Then don't forget to put this colon here as well. Then when you enter, you go for the printing or the rest of the execution of code that you would like to write down there. So for example, I could say if number is lower than 0, for example, print the number is negative. Okay, so this is another if condition that I'm typing down here. Please note that there is a little bit of a space. When I enter, it automatically leaves a little bit of a space, so it increases the readability of your code as well, because now you understand that this part of the code execution depends on this if condition. So if we enter this condition, then this execution will be done. So when I run, you see that in the output we see nothing. Why? Because this is 10. 10 is not larger than 15. Therefore, this if condition is not executed because this part is not passed. And by passed, I mean this part is not true. It's not correct. And also because 10 is not lower than 0, therefore this part is not also executed. So what if I put minus 10, for example, here, and I run the code? So you see that first it checks this if, and it says minus 10 is larger than 15. No, then this is not being printed out in the output. But it is checking to see minus 10 is lower than 0. Yes, so it is going to enter this part and execute this part, and it is saying that the number is negative. So this is how basically we can use if statements in Python. In the following videos, we are going to do some practical coding exercises to understand different situations in which we can use if statements. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome to another coding exercise. In this video, we are going to talk about if and else statements. In the previous video, we learned already about if statements, but now we are going to include else as well. So we would like to write a program to check if a person is older than 18 or not. Here I'm initializing a variable called age. I'm assigning number 18 to it. I'm having the if keyword here, and I'm checking to see age larger than or equal to 18. So if age is larger than or equal to 18, then colon. So then print out this part for me. So let me first comment this part of the code. So we work with the first part first. So it says that you are eligible to vote. So basically I'm assigning a variable. I'm having again, there are 3 steps. We use the if keyword, we put the condition and then the colon. Okay. So we are saying that if age is larger than or equal to 18, then if this is true, print out you're eligible to vote. So if I put 10 here, it prints nothing. You see, it prints nothing because 10 is not larger than 18. In this case, we can have else conditions. For example, we want to check because in the output I see nothing. I get somehow, okay, did I do everything correctly? Because I'm not seeing any message in the output. But in order to make sure that you did everything correctly, it's nice to have sometimes an else condition. So if the condition is true, do this. Otherwise, using else keyword, otherwise do this. Okay. So I'm saying that age equals 10. First, I'm checking 10 is larger or equal than 18. No. Otherwise, because it does not pass this condition, print you're not eligible to vote. So when I run, you see that you are not eligible to vote. So it's not going to execute both of the conditions. It is going to either be in the first one or in the second one. Okay. So let me illustrate with another example. So the person age is 22. So this is a program to check if someone can vote or not. Okay, so when I run, it says 22 is larger than 18, so you are eligible to vote. Okay, but if I put, for example, instead of 22, 12, it says you're not eligible to vote in the output. Why? Because 12 is not larger than 18. So this if and else condition is somehow, if the condition is true, do this. Otherwise, say that, for example, you're not eligible. So anything that is not larger than or equal to 18 is going to be included in this else part. Okay, you understand? So this is how an if-else statement would work in Python. We check one condition. If this condition is true, do this. Any other things, otherwise, anything other than the condition that I'm putting there, just include it in the else part. Then you say that, okay, in the else part, it means that you're not eligible. It doesn't matter if the person is 12 years old, 2 years old, 5 years old, or 17 years old. If it's not included in the larger than or equal to 18, it is considered to be else. Okay, thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about if, elif, else statement in Python. So we would like to write a program that assess the mark of a student and grade it based on different conditions. For example, it is going to grade A to the student if the mark is larger than 19, larger than or equal to 19. It is going to issue grade B if it is larger than or equal to 75. It is going to grade C if it's larger than or equal to 15, and any other number, else part, any other number that is not included in neither of these conditions is going to issue the grade F. So it means that if the mark is lower than 49, okay, or lower than equal to 49, it is going to enter this part, because any other number is going to be included in this part, and the only numbers that can be included in this part it means that it is lower than or equal to 49. So let me run the code first. It says grade B. Why? So I'm having the 85 assigned to marks. In the first part, I'm checking if marks 85 is larger than 90. No, so it is not going to print grade A. Then it comes here. When I'm having several conditions to check, as of the second one, I need to type down elif instead of if. Okay, this is something to note. I'm checking elif mark is larger than or equal to 75. So my number was 85, and it is larger than or equal to 75. Okay, it is true. So this condition is passed. Then it is going to print out grade B for us in the output. So if I type down 92, for example, now we see grade A in the output. So now it is 92. 92 is larger than 90. Yes, so it is going to enter this part of the code and execute grade A. So what if it is 55 and I run, it says grade C. So it is 55. 55 is larger than 90. No, it is not going to print this part, therefore. It jumps to the next if condition. Elif, as of the second condition checking, we are going to type down elif. Be careful about it. So elif 55 is larger than 75. No, so it is not going to execute this part. So it is going to jump to next elif. It says 55 is larger than 50. Yes. So it is going to enter this part and execute grade C. Okay. So what if I have number 40? So here, before running the code, I'm going to discuss the detail. 40 is larger than 90? No. Then it jumps here. 40 is larger than 75? No. Then it jumps here. 40 is larger than 50? No. So because 40 is not going to enter any of them, we are having the else part. So if I don't have the else part, nothing is going to be printed out in the output because 40 is not in any of the ranges above. Okay. But for clarity, I'm putting the else. So whatever that is not included in neither of the ranges, it is going to be included in the else part. So it says grade F. So when I run, we see grade F in the output. So this is how we can have the checking of the first condition, it is F. As of the second condition, when we want to check, we type down elif, and if we are going to check 100, for example, statements, we type down elif. And for the last one, when we want to say, okay, if neither of the above ranges and if conditions is not passed for certain value, we're going to enter the else part. So you see, if I comment this part, we see nothing in the output because 40 is not in any of the ranges that we are investigating using if and elif conditions. Okay, so it is not larger than 19, not larger than 75, not larger than 50. But for the clarity, it's nice to have something in the output so you know when you have, for example, 2,000 lines of code, it's nice to know what is happening in each part of your code. So I'm having this else part, and also for validation, when you're having something in the output for validation, it's very good. So here I'm having the grade F being printed in the output, because 40 is not included in neither of the ranges. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome to this section. In today's video, we are going to talk about for loops. So a for loop is used to iterate over a sequence or a range of numbers. So the for loop iterates through each element in a sequence, performing an action for each element. The range function in Python is often used to loop over a sequence of numbers. Later on in higher level classes and courses in Python, when we are going to learn about list, tuple, dictionary, and set, Then we can also integrate for loops with them as well. So a for loop can iterate over a list, a tuple, a dictionary, or a set. But this is something that we're going to discuss in higher level courses. For now, we're going to learn how to use the range function in Python to iterate over a range of numbers. Let me illustrate it with an example. So now we would like to write a program that prints numbers from 1 to 5 using a for loop. This is the statement of our program. So in order to use the for loop, we have the keyword reserved in Python for. Then we are having the I. It could be anything that we want. We choose our iteration variable to be I. And then we are going to use the in keyword reserved for this. Range is the function of the Python that we are going to use, and the range is divided by a comma. So there are two ranges in parentheses that we are going to have when using the range function, the starting point and the ending point. So let me run this code. When we run this code, this I is going to iterate over this range for us. One thing to mention is that the starting point in Python for range function is inclusive, but the ending point is exclusive. It means that it is going to iterate over for all I in the range between 1 to 6, but it is going to iterate over 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and not 6, because the end is exclusive. So it is the start point that is inclusive, okay? And then we are going to print I. So in the output, we are having number 1 to 5 being printed out. But how does it work? So let me put some comment here. So for the first time, we say that we are using this range function. And when we are having the range function, we need to choose the start point and the end point, okay? Start point, end point. And when we are going to have the range function, for example, here we would like to go over numbers from 1 to 5. So the starting point is 1, and it is going to include 1 because it's a rule in Python. So the starting point is inclusive. So it is going to start from 1 and it is going to iterate until it's 5. But because if I write down 5 here, because the end point is exclusive, it is going to iterate over 1, 2, 3, and 4, and not 5, because the end point is exclusive. Okay, so I'm going to put 6 here, therefore it is going to go until 5. So this is how the range function works. And if I want to explain further, we see that for the first time I get the value 1. Okay, when I equals 1, it is basically having this print function being implemented, because we are having print, and in the parentheses we are having I, and I equals 1, so we are going to print 1 in the output, and we see it here. Okay, and then it goes up back again, and I now equals 2. I now equals 2, and it is going to print 2 for us, and we are having it here, and it goes up again. I is incrementing, and we are having the I equals 3, print 3, I equals 4, print 4, and finally I equals 5, print 5. So this is basically what happens in each iteration in this for loop, that we are having this output here. So in this lesson, we learned how to write a for loop. We are having a for keyword and one variable to be defined here, then using the in keyword and providing the range, a starting point and an ending point. Starting point is inclusive and the ending point is exclusive. So if I type down until 6, it is not going to go for the 6th one, it is going to go until 5, okay, until the end of 5, including 5. And for this loop, I am printing I. So I, when it starts, because it starts from 1, I equals 1, it is printing 1. Then I is 2, I is 3, printing 3, I is 4, printing 4, I is 5, printing 5, and that's it. It is finished. The for loop is finished, and these are the output of our program. And one thing to mention here is that this is the range function that we are using to iterate over a range of numbers, and it has two parts in the parentheses, starting point and ending point. They are separated by a comma. In the next videos, we are going to discuss further practical coding exercises so you would get used to the syntax of loops, of different types of loops, including for loops. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about while loops in Python. So a while loop repeats as long as a specific condition is true. So the while loop requires a condition to be true, and if the condition becomes false, the loop stops. So we need to be careful to avoid infinite loops by ensuring the condition eventually becomes false, okay? For example, here we're going to print numbers from 1 to 5 using a while loop. Exactly the same exercise as the previous video, but here instead of for loops, we are going to use while loop. So I'm initializing I variable to be 1 before starting the loop, and then I'm having the while keyword, and then the condition here and colon here. Okay, so three parts: the keyword while, the condition here, and the colon. Okay, so I'm going to write down while I is lower than or equal to 5, do these things for me. Okay, while I is lower than and equals to 5, print I, and then increase the value of I by 1. Okay, this sign, let me plus equal, it means that when I'm typing down I plus equal 1, it means I'm typing down I equals I plus 1. So they are basically the same in Python. So I equals I plus 1 is exactly, it is going to do the exact thing as I plus equal 1. Okay, but because it is more concise and more and shorter, we're going to use this way of writing it. But whenever you see this, it means this. Okay, you can type it down somewhere in comments for yourself for a while to get used to it. So let me illustrate it with an example. Initially I equals 1, and when we are going to enter this condition, it checks to see 1 is lower than 5. Yes, it's true. So print I. So it is going to print 1 for us. And then in the next line, we are having I equals I plus 1. It means that I equals 1 plus 1. Therefore, I equals 2. Okay, so this line is exactly like this line. And basically, it means that I equals 1 plus 1. Why? We already have 1 here, so this one is that one. And we also have this I here, and I initially equals to 1. So when it equals to 1, we are typing down here. So now I equals to 2, okay? So we incremented the value of I by 1 value. So now I equals 2 at the end of this loop, and it is going to check the condition again. 2 is lower than 5, yes. So it is going to print 2. Then it is typing down I plus 1. Okay, so it means that I equals 2 plus 1, therefore I equals 3. But why 2 plus 1? Because we are having this formula, I equals I plus 1. So I equals 2 plus 1. This plus 1 is exactly the same thing here, but we are having 2 because we entered this loop initially using I equals 2, because this is why we were printing 2. So 2 plus 1, now I equals 3. I equals 3. We are going up here again and we are checking the condition. 3 is lower than 5. Yes, it is lower than 5. So print 3 for me. Print 3. Sorry. Then I equals 3 plus 1. I equals 4. Okay. And here 4 is lower than 5. Yes. So print 4. I equals 4 plus 1. I equals 5. 5 is lower than or equal to 5. Yes. So print 5. And then I equals 5 plus 1. I equals 6. So I equals 6 now. 6 is lower than or equal to 5? No, it's not. Therefore, it is not passing this condition, and thus it is not going to enter this loop anymore. So this is not an infinite loop, because we mentioned here we need to ensure that the condition eventually becomes false here, and now it becomes false because I equals 6 and 6 is not lower than 5. Therefore the condition becomes false, and now when I run this program, you see here I'm printing 1 to 5 here. So let me explain it one more time. If we want to have the while loop, we need to initialize the variable a priori to the while loop. So I'm initializing this I here, then I'm having the keyword while, then the condition and one colon, sorry. And as long as I is lower than or equal to 5, I'm going to print the value of I and increase the value of I by 1 unit. And when I'm having I plus equal 1, it means that I plus equal 1, it is exactly equal to this equation. I equals I plus 1. But because it is shorter, we are going to use this one. But we could use this one as well. Okay. So when I equals 1, I print 1 and I increase the value of I by 1 value. So 1 plus 1, it's 2. 2 is lower than 5, yes. So print 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. So 3 is lower than 5, yes. Print 3 for me, and 3 plus 1 equals 4. So 4 is lower than 5, print 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 is lower than or equal to 5, yes. Print 5. Increase the value of I by 1 value. So 5 plus 1 is 6. And 6 is lower than or equal to 5? No. So it's not going to enter this while anymore. But what happens if I comment this line? So if I comment this line, it is going to have I equals 1. It is going to say 1 is lower than 5. Yes, print 1. And go up again because we commented this line. Okay. I still, it is 1. Okay. 1 is lower than 5. Yes, print 1. Again, it goes up back again. 1 is lower than 5. Yes. So we are not changing the value of I. So it becomes an infinite loop. So when I run this code, you see it is simply printing 1 again and again. So it is not going to finish because it's an infinite loop. So I need to stop it. Okay, so I need to interrupt it. You see how many 1 it has been printing? Let me go up again. It's not going to finish. So when I go up, oh la la. Okay, so we need to make sure that it is not an infinite loop and it is going to end at some point. This is the important part when we are having the while loop. Thank you for your watching. Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video we are going to talk about break statement. So a break statement is used to exit a loop even if the loop's condition is still true. It is useful when we want to stop the loop based on certain conditions. So let me illustrate it with an example. We would like to stop the loop when the number equals 5, okay? So we are going to have a for loop it is going to iterate over I in the range 1 to 10, and we are having the colon here, and we are having one if statement. So if I equals 5, break. If I equals 5, break. Otherwise, print I. Okay, so when I run this code, it is printing 1, 2, 3, and 4. So let me illustrate what's happening here. So I equals 1 in the first time, and it checks to see 1 equals 5. No. So when I say no, it is not going to break because it's not going to enter this part of the if condition. So this is the if condition. This is the statement that is going to be executed if this condition is true. So in the first run, I equals 1. 1 equals to 5? No. Therefore, it is not going to do anything here, and it is going to jump here and print 1 in the output for us. Okay, so print 1. Then I'm having I equal 2. It checks to see 2 equals 5. No, so print 2. I 3, print 3 because 3 is not equal to 5. And I equals 4, print 4. However, when I equals 5, it checks here. 5 equals 5. Yes? Yeah, that is true. So when 5 equals 5, it is going to execute this part of the code. So it is going to break. When it breaks, it means that it exits this for loop. Okay, so it is going to exit this part and it is going to come here where we have nothing more to execute. So this is why when I equals 5, it is not printing anything for us because this print comes after the break. But if this print comes before the break, it is going to also print the 5 for us. But it is now, let me put it here. So when I put the print here and I run the code, you see that 5 is also printed because when I equals 5, it is going to first print 5 and then checks to see if 5 equals to 5, and then it is going to break. Okay, so it's important for you to know where to put the break and how the output of the program could be different based on where you're putting the break. So when I have the break before the print, when I equals 5, it is not going to print 5. But when the print is before the if condition, it is first going to print 5, then break the loop. So it is not going to go for the I equals 6, 7, 8, and 9 because this loop was supposed to go from 1 to 9. I'm saying 1 to 9 because the endpoint is exclusive, so 10 is not going to be considered. It is going to go from 1 to 9. So it is when we are having I equal 5, it is breaking, so it is exiting the loop. Therefore, I equals to 6, 7, 8, and 9 are not executed here. Okay? So this is how we can use the break statement. When certain conditions are met, we can have the break and exit the loops. Thank you for watching. Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about continuous statement. So the continuous statement is used to skip the current iteration and move to the next one. It allows the loop to continue running but skips executing the rest of the code for the current iteration. Let me illustrate it with an example. So we would like to write a program that skip even numbers. Okay. For that, we are looping over all values for variable I in the range between 1 and 6, and if this I variable is divided by 2 and the remainder of this division equals 0, we're going to continue. Otherwise, if this condition is not passed, we're going to print I. So let me type down this I equals 1, I equals 2, I equals 3, I equals 4, and I equals 5, okay? So these are the values that I is going to iterate over. So for the first time, when I equals 1, it basically mentions, sorry, let me put this, okay. 1, if 1 is divided by 2, the remainder would be equal to 0. It is checking this condition. Is it true? No, because it's not true. It is going to print 1 for us. So in the output, we will have the print 1. Okay. Then it moves to the next number. So I is incremented by one value. So we are having if 2 divided by 2, the remainder of this division equals 0. Yes. So when it is yes, it is going to continue. So this condition is passed. Therefore, it is going to skip this iteration. So it is not going to print anything for us in the output. So it is going to skip. It is going to continue. Nothing happens. Skip this iteration. Okay. Then it is going to increment the value of I one more time. So I equals 3 now. So 3, if it is divided by 2, the remainder of this division, is it equal to 0? No. So it's not equal to 0. Therefore, it is going to print 3 in the output. Then I equals 4. 4, if it is divided by 2, the remainder would be 0. No. The remainder would be 0. Yes, sorry. So therefore, it is going to skip this iteration again. And finally, when I equals 5, 5 is divided by 2. The remainder, is it 0? No, so it's not 0. Therefore, it is going to print 5 for us. So looking at the output, we see that it is skipping the even numbers. It is printing 1, 3, and 5. So let me run the code one more time. So we are printing 1, 3, and 5. You see here in the output, we are having 1, 3, 5. As we expected, we are printing 1, nothing happens, printing 3, skip this iteration, and printing 5. Let me go through the analyzing of code one more time. So we are having a for loop starting from I in the range between 1 to 6. So I is going to take values between 1 to 5, okay, between 1 and 5. So in case that when we are entering this loop, if I is divided by 2 and the remainder of this division is equal to 0, do nothing and go back up and increase the value of I. Continue is doing basically this thing. Otherwise, print the value of I. So 1 divided by 2, the remainder is 0? No, because it's not an odd number. It's not an even number. So the definition of even number is when it is divided by 2, the remainder must be equal to 0. Therefore, when this does not happen, the number is odd. So by having this line, we can understand if a number is odd or even. So if one number is divided by 2 and the remainder of this division equals 0, it means that that number was an even number. So we are saying that 1 divided by 2, the remainder equals 0. No, so it's not 0, therefore it is not going to continue, it's not going to enter this condition, and it is going to print I, and I was 1, so it is printing 1 in the output, okay? Then I equals to 2. 2 is divided by 2. The remainder equals 0. Yes. When the answer is yes, continue. When the answer is yes, so this condition is passed, so it is entering this part. Okay, when entering this part, it says execute the continue statement. And continue statement means that do not execute the rest of the code for the current iteration. Okay, so for the current iteration, it does not execute the code. It goes back up and I is incremented by one value. So I equals 3 now. 3 divided by 2, the remainder equals 0. No. because the answer is no, it is going to print I here. It is not going to enter the continue part, okay? Because the continue part is going to be executed whenever this if condition is true, whenever the statement of the if condition is going to be executed. So printing 3 here, and then for the 4, when I is equals 4, 4 divided by 2, the remainder equals 0. Yes, so continue and do not execute the rest of the code for current iteration. It goes back up, so nothing happens here, as you see. I equals 5, 5 divided by 2, the remainder equals 0. No. So if the answer is no, print I for me, which is 5 here in the output. So this is basically how we can use the continue statement to skip the current iteration when certain conditions are met. Thank you for watching.